What's up, everybody? My name is Amy, and this is the Ruby Pearl Glamper True Crime Podcast. Put your way that you're sitting on top of the world. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ruby Pearl Glamper True Crime Podcast. My name is Amy. Welcome to my show. Hope everyone has had a wonderful week. It is Friday, and I'm sure some of you are ready for the weekend. I myself am just ready for this rain to stop. Unfortunately, I don't necessarily look forward to the weekends because I don't go out and, all of that kind of good jazz anymore. So every day is just no different than the other. The weekends are really no different than the other for me. But yeah, I'm just ready for this rain to stop. It did clear up today and got up to like 61, but it's still really just damp and dreary and cloudy, and I saw a little bit of sun peek out a couple of times, but nothing to write home about anyway. So I meant to do this last night, go live last night, and I didn't realize some days I lose track of sometimes I lose track of the days, and last night, of course yesterday was Thursday, so last night was the season finale of SVU, Law and Order SVU, and Law and Order Organized Crime. And yeah, I normally don't even go live on Thursday nights because I'm busy watching SVU and Organized Crime. And last night I was full of anxiety, on the edge of my seat. Just got thrown some curveballs I didn't see coming in Law and Order SVU. Plus, it was Kelly Gittish's last show as Detective Amanda Rollins, and it was, I tell you, it's sad to see her go. She's really become a beloved character on there, but Amanda and Carisi got married, and finally, so that was cool. And we got left kind of on a little bit of a cliffhanger with Law and Order Organized Crime, but you know, I got a feeling that this next season we're going to see a lot of changes and maybe possibly storylines crossing the shows again. And maybe this is finally going to be the season where we see Liv and Elliot end up together. I don't know. I'm still on the fence about all that. I mean, my God, I've watched this show since it started in the 90s, and I, and even watched the original, just Law and Order, with Jack McCoy, and now I watched the reboot of that, of course. But I don't know. I'm just not sold on this whole Olivia and Elliot getting together thing. I don't. With Kathy gone, there's nothing standing in their way, but I still feel like it's a bit of a disrespect to Kathy's memory. Yet, if Kathy could give Elliot to anyone, she would give him to Olivia. That's for sure, because she knows that Olivia would take care of him and take care of her kids and all that kind of stuff. So if Kathy actually had to leave Elliot to anyone, it would definitely be Olivia Benson. So, well, I'm going to be talking more about the Idaho 4 case. This is part 4. I'm going to discuss the magnitude of this investigation and, just how big it really is. I just, like everybody else, wish that it had been solved yesterday or last week or 3 weeks ago, but unfortunately it hadn't. And the realization is that it's not going to get solved in record time. Believe me, I'm an Aries. Hey, Charlie K, how are you? Lord, where in the hell have you been? I have missed you. Haven't seen you in quite some time. I am a true Aries. And if you know anything about Aries, you know that we are very impatient. But this case has just captured the entire world, and we all want this killer found and off the streets. And as long as I've been following true crime, the who, what, where, and when is not as important to me as the why. I want to know why. Why did somebody do this? That is always my biggest, issue with these cases. I want to know why you did this. And, it's just, but this is just not, unfortunately. Oh, okay. You took, hey, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I've had to take breaks myself, but for the most part, I've just weaned myself out of all the trauma and stuff, and I've kind of got my YouTube feed fixed to where certain people's videos won't even come through my feed. They won't be suggested in my feed, and therefore, I don't even have to, what they say, curiosity killed the cat. And I don't even have to click on, well, let's see what this some bitch is saying, or this bitch is saying, or whatever, because there's some of these people that I don't know. I just wish they would get the hell out of this community. They are a thorn in everyone's side. And there are people in this community that are out to literally destroy other creators, and I don't get it. Like, we're discussing true crime here. We're discussing criminal acts that people perpetrate upon another person. And y'all might as well call y'allself criminal channels instead of true crime channels. Because y'all committing crimes too. You're out to literally destroy people. It just amazes me what I hear and what I've heard said on some of these channels, that that's all they're about, is destroying another creator. And it's insane. It's truly insane. But so we do have, just a few new details that have come out. In this case, the police are searching for a 2011 to 2013 white Elantra. This car was apparently seen in the area around the time of the murders. Whether I don't know whether it came from digital media footage that was submitted or a witness might have saw them, but irregardless, the police are looking for this car, because they think that the occupants in this car are the killer or killers, but because they just feel there's something there that they think these people might have pertinent information in this case. And it's been a couple of days since this was put out, and I'm hoping that they'll find who that car belonged to, because honestly, it shouldn't be that hard. First of all, if you were driving that car, whether you were in that vicinity around the time of the murders. So if you have nothing to hide, then by all means come forward. But so far, no one's come forward saying, oh, that was me. I was dropping Jimmy off, at his apartment or whatever. And no, I didn't see anything. Or, yeah, I did see somebody walking down the street, but I didn't think too much about it, or I saw, Tony Smith walking down the street at around that time, but so far no one's come forward. And that kind of alarms me, because they are probably looking for a lawyer. Yeah, exactly. Because, if you live in that area, there is no way that you are not following this case. you would have to just be knocked out living under anesthesia 24 hours a day. If you live in that area and you're not at least in some capacity keeping up with that case. Because, we don't know yet who the killer is. We don't know yet if this person may strike again and do something to someone else. So everyone's on edge. I realize people around there, they're back in school, they're going to school, they're finishing up their end of the year stuff, or the people that, may live in the apartments that are close to it. They may work or whatever, but you got to know that they're at least watching their local news, even if they aren't, on the internet like me 24/7, looking for any update I can find or any new information I can find. So, after a couple of course, the police have gotten tons and tons of tips about the Elantra car, and now those phone calls are being filtered to the FBI to sort through. So that's another thing. It also appears that the FBI is possibly stepping in and taking a more predominant role in this case, because there hasn't been any arrest yet, and there's so much investigation to do in this case that they've got to call in resources and stuff that can help them get to the bottom of this as quickly as possible. Also, there have been 2 witnesses that have allegedly come forward, and one witness has stated that he was walking past the house around 9 a.m. and saw the front door wide open. The front door that is key coded and goes to the 2 downstairs, or the 2 basement rooms. When it was brought up to the police chief that someone had stated this, it was new information to him. He had not heard it, so he doesn't know who this came from, when, where, or what, and I would think that if that front door had been open that morning when the 2 girls down in the basement woke up, that they would have woke up freezing their butts off. It's cold there, and it's been snowing and whatnot, and so I'm sure when they opened their bedroom doors, they'd have been like, dang, why is it so cold in here? Or even that cold air was probably, I don't know what their doors are like. I don't know if they have a little bit of a crack in the bottom of them, between the bottom of the door and the floor, like some bedrooms in your house do. But I'm sure when they woke up, if that door had been open, it'd be butt freezing cold in there. Charlie, I heard one of the, well, hello, Bullhorn Betty. It is awesome to see you here on my channel. Charlie, I heard one of the neighbors was coming home from work about 1:30 a.m. and he heard screaming. Yeah, actually, that was around 4. a.m. that hey, Miss Robin, that was allegedly around 4 a.m. when he went to bed. He says he thought he heard a scream, but he's not sure, really positively sure, and he just didn't think much about it because, he just didn't know that if someone was partying or what. But if he says he did actually hear a scream, whether it was a scream from someone just like squealing, having a good time, or whatever, then irregardless, he heard a scream. So if he heard a scream at 4 a.m., then that tells me that it is very well possible that the murders were being committed, in the process of being committed, at 4 a.m. One thing that I was able to verify was police body cam footage was put out from the police regarding the alcohol offense incident at 3 o'clock in the morning on the band field. If you've heard about that, when the officers are standing there talking to the three boys that they encountered, you can see the house in the background, and it's hard to watch. I had to watch it a few times. I mean, I was having flashbacks of when I went to the movie theater and watched the Blair Witch Project, because it's the videos moving around. So, but I was able to determine that at the time that these officers were speaking with these three boys that they were dealing with on the band field regarding the alcohol offense, Madison's light was still on in the house. You can see it. And you also see, after a couple of minutes or so, you see the light go out. So, and if you remember, the girls were trying to call Jack DeCoeur, Kaylee's on-off boyfriend, up until about 2:53, 2:56, somewhere in that area. And so that tells me that, once they realized Jack wasn't going to answer the phone, I'm going to give it a 15-minute window that, the girls shut the lights off and went to bed. So that at least proves and shows what time Madison and Kaylee went to bed. And it don't throw the timeline off to where, they didn't go to bed until 4 o'clock in the morning. Then that would, push the timeline way off. So they did go to bed, shortly after they stopped trying to call Kaylee's boyfriend, Jack DeCoeur. And, yes, the girls had been drinking that night. So it's not, you got to allow somebody, a little bit of time to fall asleep. Sometimes we're so exhausted, we go out when our head hits the pillow. And then sometimes if we're drunk enough, we just pass out. But then other times, you may toss and turn for 15, 20, 30 minutes. hell, I toss and turn for at least an hour before I actually go to sleep. And I take sleeping medication. So I just turned in. Have you already discussed the audio that's being shared of the alleged shouting coming from the house? No, Miss Robin, I wasn't aware of that yet. That must have just come out in the last shouting. What time is this shouting coming from the house? What time, Robin? What time are they saying that someone heard the shouting? Or it's on audio? Oh, I tell you what, I believe it was heard and recorded by a neighbor around 4 a.m. Interesting. Same time a neighbor heard the scream. Oh, wow. Oh, my email is, well, I'll tell you what would be easier. On Bullhorn Betty's, because my email has my real name in it. And it's kind of long. So, if you'll find me on Betty's Facebook, just send it to me in Messenger if you can. Is that all right? Okay. Okay, good. Yeah, I wanna see this. I always check, right before I go on to see if there's any updates, but I have not. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I just have not seen that that yet or heard about that yet. So but wow, that's good news, oh, okay, okay. That's definitely good news. So, we possibly have a time, more of a timeline of when the murders occurred, because like I said, after seeing that body cam footage, I know that one of the girls turned the lights out, somewhere around 3 or anywhere from 3 to 3:15. That's what I was saying this morning on Betty's show, that I'm gonna give it a 15-minute window. So, and not everybody always falls asleep, right away. So, I feel like the earliest the murders could have taken place was 3:30, and that's really pushing it, in my opinion. But closer to 4, or at 4, they had more time to, fall asleep and get into that REM state of sleep. So, to where they wouldn't have heard anything or whatever. You know, I talked with my daughter last night, and she didn't have a car when she was going to college, but her boyfriend, who became her husband, did. And I wondered about living on campus and living off campus, and about having to register your vehicle and your tag number and everything, and parking passes and all that. And she said that they just had to pay such and such amount of money and get a parking pass, but she doesn't remember. And if you had a guest come on campus, you had to go to some office and get them a parking pass. And she said she had went with Mason one time to get his sister a parking pass, but she didn't remember if he had to give her tag number and the make and model of her car. And I haven't actually got a chance to talk to Harley yet, and at my son-in-law, and ask him whether he had to register the make and model of and his tag number of his vehicle or what. And my daughter wasn't really sure. So because that, and that'd be the first place I'd start looking for the cilantro, is see if it belongs to a student, and then plus do a good sweep of the immediate area around the house and whatnot. I'm gonna assume they've done that, but they seem to be getting plenty of tips regarding the car, so we can put that on a side burner right now. Also, a friend has come forward and spoke out on behalf of Jack Showalter. Jack Showalter is the white hoodie guy from the food truck. And she says that anybody who's claiming that he's guilty or might be guilty or whatever, we're all destroying his life and he's not guilty and blah, 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 blah. To come out and stand up for him at this point when he has been looked at so hard and subject yourself to, disgrace and bullying and whatnot from people on the internet, I would have to say she's probably most likely being very honest. Hey Pam, how are you? She's most likely being honest, and Betty said this morning, that she felt the same way. So I guess maybe we can kind of put Jack Showalter on the back burner as well. So let's get into just what the magnitude of this investigation entails. And like I said, I know we all want this solved as of yesterday, last week, 3 weeks ago. I wish we could have it solved in 45 minutes, like they do on CSI and Law and Order and stuff, but it just doesn't work like that. We've got 4 victims. One of those victims did not even live in that house. So we've got 4 victims. We've got 4 possible targets. We've got 4 separate lives. Even though these people's lives interacted and they lived with each other and all that, they also all had separate lives. You've got 4 phones that have got to be gotten into. And then you've got multiple social media accounts that, in my opinion, desperately need to be accessed. You've got Instagram, you've got Facebook, you've got Twitter, you've got Snapchat, you've got TikTok, and any of the ones that my old ass don't know about. But you've got multiple social media accounts, you've got DMs for each of those social media accounts. You've got just your regular phone text messages and all that kind of stuff. You've got emails. You've got, just so much in those 4 phones of these 4 separate lives and 4 different people that have got to be looked into. Because, the answer could lie in one of those social media accounts. It could lie in one of those phones through text messaging. It could lie in one of the DMs of those social media accounts. So that's a lot, just right there in and of itself. And then you've got all the forensic evidence. You've got all the digital media that's been submitted, that's got to be gone through. You've got the blood evidence that's got to be analyzed. You've got DNA. You've got, blood spatter and all that, that kind of stuff. You've got fingerprints that have got to be gone through, and all this stuff is separate within the crime lab. The crime lab has, different, hey, Griff, what are you doing, you heathen? You've got all these separate, offices, I don't know what else to call them, but categories in the crime lab that all this different stuff has got to be analyzed through and investigated. So, and that stuff takes time. Like I said, I wish that, we could get DNA and digital, footage and all that kind of fingerprints and trace and all that kind of stuff back in a 45-minute amount of time, but unfortunately we can't. And then you've got your physical witnesses to talk to, people that saw something, heard something, whatever, interacted with them that night. And Maddie and Kaylee went to the Corner Club. And while this is a small sports bar, I mean, I'm sure there probably at least 200 people capacity crammed in there. I mean, I don't know, what the place is like on a Friday and Saturday night, but it's a pretty hopping place. On the weekends, you've got all the college students that go there, plus you've got locals and things like that. So, and I don't know, I'd have to look and see, who was playing who. Was their own game being shown on TD? Would there have been other college games or something going on that day or night that everybody would have been piled up there watching, or something like that, or what? I'd have to look into that and see maybe what was going on that day and what colleges were playing who and and whatnot. I don't watch college football anymore. My Razorbacks have not done very well in quite some time. So, I mean, I only watch my Cowboys, NFL. So, and they are doing awesome, by the way. Return of the Dak. Watch my flow. Return of the Dak. Yes, Dak Prescott is back, thank God, and he is, oh, that man is so hot. Can we just get off topic for a minute and just talk about how hot Dak Prescott is for a minute? So cute, so much hotter to look at than Tony Romo. Hey, Dr. Lipschitz. Michigan Wolverines. Okay, well, I noticed Betty had on a Tampa Buccaneers hat in her videos from Idaho, and oh yeah, her and my son-in-law would like each other because that's his favorite team is the Tampa Buccaneers, and my daughter Chauncey, hers is the New York Giants, and mine, of course, all my life has been the Dallas Cowboys. So for those of you that don't know, Jerry is from Little Rock. Jerry's from Arkansas. So, and Jimmy was from Arkansas too. So, I miss that era when Jerry and Jimmy were together. I miss that era. But anyway, so yeah, I kind of wonder, you know, what was going on that night that everybody might have been piled up there doing and whatnot. You know, our sports bar, you're a New York Jets fan. I always loved that line in oh, what's the movie with the football team that went to the playoffs and that had to desegregate, had Hayden Panettiere in it when she was a little girl. I always loved that line when coach says, "Who the hell they think they are? The New York Jets." I always loved that line in that movie. But our local sports bar that we have, which is actually much bigger than that sports bar, they have different nights. I mean, they have karaoke night, and things like that. So, plus you've got your regulars in there eating and stuff. So, you know, what was going on that night at the club? You've got Xana and Ethan who were at a Sigma Chi party, a frat party. So they naturally interacted with a lot of people and whatnot. And you've got all those witnesses that have got to be gone through and talked to and whatnot. And we're missing some hours where nobody knows where Xana and Ethan were. And apparently it's now come out that they were at that Sigma Chi party all night. It was, yes, it was pretty crowded at the food truck too. So, and you gotta, I mean, I could tell by some of the other people in the video that they were drunk too. So, you got to know that a lot of people probably went to that food truck after they left the club, after it shut down. Joe Vito, the burly guy who actually spoke with Jack Showalter, he had been there, so I'm going to assume that probably a lot of them had been there. Y'all excuse me, I gotta move around. My sciatica is killing me. So, you got all them witnesses you got to go through and talk to and see if whose story lines up with whose, and, see if somebody's lying or whatnot. And I don't know how many people have actually come forward who were at the club or anyone else that was possibly at the food truck. Nothing has been said about that. So I don't know how many people from the club they've talked to. I'm sure they've talked to the manager and the people who were bartending and stuff that night. But uh yeah, you're talking about Jack Showalter's supposedly going to Africa, and that's been proven to be false or whatever. I'm not really sure, but I'm gonna set him, like I said, I'm gonna set him off on one of the side burners for right now. But there's still things about this case that the police are keeping close to the vest, and it's just driving me nuts because we don't know who was attacked first and in what order everyone was taken out. So that leaves us with, open speculation. But the police, of course, should be able to tell where the blood, starts and where it ends and all that stuff. They have privy to that information, and which is, I wish I had privy to that information, but I don't. So, but irregardless of who was attacked first, it doesn't prove that they were the intended target, unless okay, let's say the killer went in and attacked Xana and Ethan first, then went upstairs and took out Kaylee and Maddie. Then it's wide open as to whether or not this was a stranger who did not know who was in what bedroom, or if Xana and Ethan were the actual targets and the perpetrator knew which room they were in. If Maddie and Kaylee were attacked first, that would mean the perpetrator had to know where he was going in that house and which floor to go to. He had to know which floor the girls were on. So he would have had to literally bypass 2 bedrooms, one with Xana and Ethan in it, and the other one we assume was empty because there was no 6th roommate anymore at that time. Whoever the 6th roommate was had moved out, so that room was empty. But if this person bypassed the second floor and bypassed Ethan and Xana in this empty room to go up to the third floor, then that would mean that either Kaylee or Maddie or both were this person's target. And when they came back downstairs, they may have heard voices and thought, oh, shit, I better take them out as collateral damage in case they saw me or, or whatever, But like I said, there have been reports that Ethan was actually found in either the hallway or the living room. And that has been my first theory, that if that's true, then I feel like Kaylee and Maddie were the targets. The killer came back downstairs and encountered Ethan and Xana because maybe Ethan woke up, or they woke up because they heard the girl scream or whatever, and Ethan gets up to go see what's going on and encounters the killer at the bottom of the stairs, and then goes in the bedroom and takes out Xana because she had defensive wounds. We know from her father that she had defensive wounds. So we don't know about Ethan, and whether or not he had defensive wounds, but we know for a fact that Xana did. So that tells me that they were more awake than possibly Kaylee and Maddie. I can't imagine, though, that one of those girls didn't wake up as well when this attack happened. Like I said, it's got to be, it can't be easy, trying to wrestle two people at the same time, even if they are asleep and, you catch them off guard and wake somebody up out of a dead sleep, and attacking them. And, one of them, someone had to wake up. And now Brian Enton has reported that Kaylee's injuries were allegedly more brutal than Maddie's and whatnot. And he has never clarified where that information came from. I reached out to him. He didn't answer me. All I got was a bunch of smart asses on Twitter. Hey, Annabella, how are you? Okay, great. That's awesome, Miss Robin. Thank you. And the thing is that he reported that just on the heels of Kaylee's dad saying that their points of attack and means of death didn't match. So I just want to know, did Kaylee's dad actually tell him that, or is that what he concluded from what Kaylee's father said? In my opinion, it doesn't necessarily mean too much. It just, and it don't mean that Kaylee was the target. It could mean that Kaylee might have woke up and tried to fight or whatever, or that maybe Maddie was the target and this person was jealous of Kaylee, for some reason. Like they felt like she was, if this was somebody that was fixated on Maddie or whatever, maybe they felt like in their mind she stood in the way, or she, something of that nature. When people fixate on people like that and they build up these false relationships and stuff in their heads, all sorts of weird things go on with them. I covered the Travis Reinking trial, the guy that shot all those people in Waffle House, and man, he had a full-blown relationship in his head with Taylor Swift. They were going to get married. They were even having some difficulties in their relationship that he even wrote to Oprah about, asking for her advice. I mean, this guy was way out in foul ball field. I mean, he was past foul ball field. And it was just insane. So, you don't know, considering we don't know who did this, who was the target, and why they did this. Everything is just open to interpretation, speculation, thoughts, opinions, ideas. And honey, this day and age, nothing shocks me anymore, and nothing surprises me anymore. One of the things that I've talked about is that this person is either going to be the last person anybody would have ever expected, or it's going to be a complete unknown, a complete stranger. So, and the thing is that in my opinion, I feel that, and I've said this from day one, that I feel like they encountered their killer somewhere or at some point that night, whether it was Maddie and Kaylee or whether it was Xana and Ethan. They encountered their killer that night. And we don't know if this was a situation where someone just got pissed at the drop of a hat, or if this was something that had been brewing for quite some time. Let's say that Ethan was maybe having some kind of problems with some guy, and it had been kind of brewing, for some time, and something happened at that Sigma Chi party or whatever that, finally just pushed the person over the edge. You have you have Kaylee and Maddie at the bar, and they could have encountered some weirdo creeper that night that they met for the first time that might have bought them a couple of drinks or whatever. And then they, just, blew him off and left or whatnot, or it could be somebody, like I said, that was fixated on one of the girls, and maybe they called him a fat pig or rejected him for, by God, the last time, you know. Um, we just don't know. So, it could, all what I do know is this is one of, I've followed a lot of cases, a lot of horrific cases, and this is just by far just so horrific, because I cannot imagine what in God's name any of these four kids could have done to warrant being stabbed to death like that. And why the, if there was only one target, then why did the others deserve what they got? What, I mean, this was brutal, and this was rage. Played in 2004. The Perp is a serial killer from BC. He's killed in East Washington and now Idaho. His MO is to sneak into a house where he stabs a woman in bed to death with a large knife. 5 unsolved. Okay, well, I'm not going to close the door on a serial killer. It's at the bottom of the list, but I'm not going to completely close the door to that idea. The only two ideas that I have the door closed on is aliens did it, and it was a covert government operation, which someone, some conspiracy theorist, bless his heart, came in here the other night and mentioned that it was some kind of assassination or whatever. I'm like, no, I don't think so. In my opinion, been noticing murders are getting crazier and crazier. And yes, I mean, God, y'all think about this. People are killing their kids every damn day. You've got pedophiles out here kidnapping kids off the street, and they're every day. You've got all these mass shootings and school shootings, and one of the reasons why, and I actually said this before this article came out, but that this could be someone that the girls might have met at the club that they encountered for the very first time that night. I posted it on my community page. A man got into a dispute with his neighbors over the laundromat or something and killed them all. Hello, Stacy B. How are you? Killed his neighbors in a dispute over a laundromat. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. People will lose it at the drop of a hat. So, we just have to keep that in mind. I mean, God, I mean, hell, for that matter, there could be somebody, some psychopath that lives in that apartment complex or somewhere that's not even a student, that maybe the girls or even Xana or Ethan or whatever just walked by and said fuck you, or what the hell are you looking at, skis ball, or and then they just go in there and just stab everybody to death. That's what's happening nowadays, unfortunately. I mean, the world has gone mad. And but we were warned. Revelations tells it all, but I'm not going to get into no big preaching rant. But Revelations tells it all. Uh, I mean, it's like we are so divided as a country because of politics and race and racial issues that and issues with people having problems with someone being transgender or gay or whatever. And you know we are just at a place in this world that we are all just like a bunch of savages. Tony Smith: I am approaching day 27 of this Idaho case. This is the biggest case I've ever worked. After 4 weeks, I have almost more questions now than I did at this. Yeah, we all do. We all do, Tony. It seems like every little tidbit of information that comes out, we get a good 20 more questions from it. Because the police are being so vague, about stuff, and most of the questions that a lot of the statements that the police have come out and made are, for the most part, other than pleading with the public looking for that car, have been to dispel rumors or let the public know, hey, yeah, we know about this person, we know about that person, we know about this situation and that situation. So other than that, they've been tight-lipped, very tight-lipped. And I get it, but I am extremely disappointed to see how upset they have let Steve I always have stutter. I've always had trouble pronouncing Kaylee's last name. Gonclaves, or yeah, Gonclaves. I'm disappointed that the police have let her dad get to the point to where he's so frustrated he's going out in the media and airing his frustration and his anger, and even gone now and hired an attorney and wanting to retain a private investigator just to get answers. It's like, okay, if you want to put a stop to this, then please at least take the families, all 4 families, and say, okay, look, here's what we know so far, but we need you to please not release this to the media. Please don't release this to the media. Don't tell anyone, whatever. And people wouldn't have to get frustrated and angry and start reaching out to the public and the media and whatnot for because they're frustrated and wanting answers. Because believe you me, if this were my child, I would be the same way Steve is. You tell me every single detail you know at every given moment. I want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly, because this has got to be, this is horrific, and these people are grieving, and these people are in physical and mental pain beyond pain you can imagine. And, especially a father, of course, I'm a mama bear, but, you know, fathers who are a part of their daughters' lives, um, most of those girls are daddy's girls. And, so you have these fathers who are papa bears. Mickey Beaverson, that's exactly how your case doesn't get solved. What do you mean? Gonzalez. Okay, thank you, 2 Foot Fred. 2 Foot Fred. Ah, that's cute. Um, the Gonzalez family is close with a potential suspect. What? Who? You mean Jack DeCour? Doesn't us? Um. Yeah. Yeah. I understand what you're saying, Mickey Beaverson. That's why I'm saying, if maybe, but if they would tell the father, then he wouldn't have to go on news media and whatnot and air his frustrations and be doing and accidentally leaking stuff and whatnot. 60% of mass murderers commits it. Yeah, I know. In 2 of the cases that have gone on in this past year, Gabby Petito and Crystal Turner and Colin Schulte, their killers killed themselves. Yes, the ex she dumped and moved away from. He's on. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, like I said, this could turn out to be the last person in the world they suspected. And in my opinion, Jack DeCour would be the last person that we would suspect. You know, Starting out with this investigation, Jack DeCour and Jake, not sure how to pronounce his last name, but he is Maddie's boyfriend, you know, um, would be the first 2 suspects, because they are the closest people to to 2 of these victims. So if this were, some sort of a jaded love situation, then, but yeah, I mean, like when you have someone when someone is killed, if it's a child, the parents are the first suspects. If it's a man or a woman, then the spouse, the significant other, is the first suspect. Also, the first witness is the first suspect. And who were the first witnesses? the other roommates who survived and whatnot, So, and the police, say that all the people closest to them are ruled out, but they could get into a deep investigation and there be a huge plot twist. And it ended up being one of those girls, one of the surviving roommates. We all pretty much feel like it's a man that did this, but hey, plot twist, it was a woman. Or like I said, hey, plot twist, it turns out it was so and so's boyfriend or whatever. um we just don't, you know we just don't know. But I just feel like it's either somebody that is least suspected, or is going to be a complete unknown. Yeah. And I will be very, I really want to know more details about Ethan's uh, death. Was he found in the bed? Was he found on the floor? Was he found in the uh, hallway or the living room area, like the rumor mill, like it's been going around the rumor mill? Because I wonder of any of the first choice of any one of them fighting back is Ethan. So, I really want to know, did Ethan get into any kind of a struggle with the perpetrator, or was he totally caught off guard, in his sleep? Um, I still lean toward that he and Xana had both awakened for some reason. So, for Xana to have had defensive wounds, just because the police have said all these people were found in their beds, stabbed to death in their sleep, that is just their vague uh, comment, as far as sort of like, they're just the general storyline. That doesn't mean that one of them didn't end up in the floor, one of them didn't end up possibly trying to get to help, uh, and then fell and bled out in the doorway, or trying to crawl to a phone, or reach for a phone, something. They were not all in their beds. Xana died on the floor. That's how the blood dripped. Yes. Well, that, Mickey, that is what I have heard, and that is what I have concluded from my own thoughts, that happened. just from what I've observed and heard and this and that and the other, that's what I have concluded myself. You think her bed was just a mattress on the floor? That's possible. Not sure. Have to maybe look through some of her Instagram and Facebook photos and whatnot, and see if you can tell if she has a bed frame or a headboard and footboard or whatever. If there's any pictures that were possibly taken of her on the bed or whatnot. This is just devastating and scary and heartbreaking. And let me ask y'all a question. Do you think that they should go ahead, and even though it seems like they've wrapped up their investigation at the house, because they've now returned personal items and whatnot to the families and gathered all their forensic and stuff and photos and whatnot. Do y'all think that just for safety until the killer is caught, that this should remain a crime, that this crime scene should remain intact the way they did in the Parkland shooting? Because I can't imagine that anyone in their right mind would be itching to move into that house. I mean, that place has got to be cleaned by specialists in crime scene cleanup, and flooring replaced, wall replaced, paneling, carpet, whatever, linoleum, all that stuff has to be replaced, new wallboard and whatnot, and that's going to take time. So if the father changed lock to their door the week before, how would the killer get into the room? Okay, I feel like, yes, these were all according to Zillow, the rent on that place is nearly $3,000 a month. So I don't know how the girls were paying their rent. I don't know if they were each paying separately a certain amount for each room, or if they were just, okay, the rent's $2,900, let's split it 5 ways, and we pay the rent. Everyone's responsible for paying their share. It seems like this was set up to where, yes, it's one whole house, but it's like almost like 4 separate little apartments. The rooms are rented individually. Okay. Well, I wasn't sure because, like I said, on Zillow, it just says the rent is like $2,900 or whatever. So $2,995 or something like that. I don't really remember. So, but I don't care if the rent's free. I can't imagine anybody that would be itching to move into that house anytime soon. I mean, there have been murder houses that have been on the market for 20 and 30 years, that, they just cannot sell. Yes, Kaylee had moved out, and the sixth roommate had moved out. So, yeah, I didn't know, completely, the, how they paid their rent or whatever. I was just, all I had to go on is what it said on Zillow. So, but, and let me talk for just a minute about that whole, Zana's dad changing the lock. Of course, I'm curious to know why he changed that lock. Was it malfunctioning or broken, or did he change it, because Zana thought someone had the key code to it, that she didn't want to have the key code anymore, or I don't know. I've never had a lock like that, so I don't know if you can change the combination to them, or what. Um, I looked them up. I looked it up, just because I wanted to see how much they sold for, and whatnot. Oh, they're easily programmable. Okay. Um, well, then I don't know if you can, but I know from the ones that I looked at online, like on Amazon, and Lowe's, and stuff like that, that you would go and buy to do it yourself. They also have a key lock, so, maybe someone had a key that she didn't want. Who knows? I wish he would kind of come out and clarify that, why he replaced it. Was it, just simple, it needed a new lock because that one was broken, or if she wanted it changed for a specific reason. You would think that this was someone that knows them to be this calculated, and then go in with the work. Well, I'm thinking that, Kaylee and Maddie are up there on the top floor by themselves. They're going to bed. It's night time. You know, they they don't have to worry about their roommates coming in and hurting them. Uh, the lock on the front door, Lola, like a keyless entry lock that has an auto locking feature. Oh, okay, okay. Um, but now, since Zana's dad replaced hers, like I said, I would think that obviously he went to, Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever, and bought one and replaced it, just like you would go there and replace a deadbolt, or a doorknob, or whatever. And they go anywhere from $39 to hundreds of dollars, depending on how fancy you want to get with it. So I'm going to guess that, he probably bought anywhere from, I'm sure he only paid $100 or less for her lock. Otherwise, I'd have been, if it cost more than that, I'd have been telling the landlord to replace it, because the landlord is the one that's supposed to be responsible for that kind of stuff. So, oh yeah, okay. You know, I mean, if it's something that's, doesn't cost very much to replace, then I'll just go get it, get a part at Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever and replace it myself. But if it's something that costs any large significant amount of money, then I would be asking the landlord, because like I said, the landlord is supposed to be responsible for you know replacing things and fixing broken stuff and whatnot. So we don't know for sure that he replaced the lock. No, Zana's mother came out and said that he did. Um, she mentioned that in her interview, I believe, with Ashley Banfield, that um, Zana's dad had been over there a week prior and changed out her lock or whatever. So, like I said, I wish someone could ask him, hey, do you mind telling us why you replaced Zana's door lock or whatever? Is it, like I said, is it just simple because it was broken or messed up, or um, was there a more, you know, personal, significant reason um, why he replaced it? So it's just, but I kind of figured that Maddie and Kaylee maybe most likely had their doors open, and I mean, you would kind of think, being a couple, that Zana and Ethan might have their doors shut, so they can, you know, do the jitterbug and, nobody hearing them or whatever. But if they did have their door shut and Ethan, let's say, like I said, got up because he heard noises or whatever, he would have got up, opened the door, and, bam, encountered the killer. So the door would have been open. Um, if you heard it was mentioned that the roommates downstairs in the basement said they heard noises. It's gone back and forth on whether they heard noises or not. But they said something like they just shut their door or whatever. So that tells me that they probably, I guess, went to bed with their doors open too. All these people live together, and they all interacted with each other. They were all friends and whatnot. So I'm sure they probably, a lot of times left their doors open when it was just them there. Now, when there was possibly parties going on, or, and people coming over there, they probably had their bedroom doors locked, so no one would go in there and steal anything, or, like I said, be doing the jitterbug in one of their beds, without their permission. But for the most part, I mean, this seems like a pretty tight-knit group, so they trusted each other, and probably left their doors open, for that matter. Kaylee's dog was found in Kaylee's room, but the girls were sleeping in Maddie's room. So that kind of pretty much automatically tells me their doors were open. And, I figure that when the killer went into Maddie's room, that the dog was probably in there with them and ran off and hid, and probably ran over into Kaylee's room, the room, that it had lived in, and hid somewhere, I guess. Because they've come out and said that the dog did not have any blood or any kind of evidence on it. So therefore the dog did not go, did not traipse through the crime scene in upstairs in Maddie's room. So whatever that means, but it sounds like she may have had some issues. No judgment here, though. Oh yeah, oh yeah. The front of the house, and it was a keypad. Yeah. Yeah, that door on the front of the house is definitely a keypad. But do we know if the bedrooms had keypads on them, keypad locks on them, or did they just have regular doorknob locks on them, or deadbolts, or what? Because if they were rented out all separately, like like little efficiency apartments, then I'm sure they all had their own keys to them. So therefore, where, yeah, like in a regular house, your bedroom door has just one of those little turn knobby things on the doorknob to lock your bedroom door. But I would think, since these were being rented out separately like that, then they would have a little more of a fancier lock than that. Yeah, yeah, I know they had common areas and stuff. I just didn't know what other way to put it than to say little efficiency apartments or whatever. My ex-husband and I, our very first apartment together was a little efficiency apartment, and it was pretty neat. So, like I said, the real subject that I wanted to discuss was, just the sheer magnitude of this investigation, and, to find this killer, because this is just going to take a lot of time, because there is no automatic standout suspect. So this is going to require, a lot of detective work, a lot of evidence sort through, and, pounding the pavement of tracking down stuff and verifying stuff and whatnot. And me, me, it's like every day that passes by, um, I'm not, I'm not saying the case is going, growing colder. What I'm saying is more theories come into my head, and the more theories that come into my head, the more suspect pool uh, that gets added. Um, they brought in FBI U.S. Special Ops from D.C. last night. Yeah, I saw that. Everybody was, speculating, oh, who's these 5 guys going in the apartment? And one of them's wearing a cowboy hat, and they're all dressed, normal and whatnot. Who are these people? Are these FBI, or what's going on? What's going on? Because like I said, we want to know every detail of everything we see and observe and find out and whatnot. And you've still got media that is camped out there um, every day. So everything that's every move that's being made is being reported on. So, but it's, like I said, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, so don't shoot the messenger. But unfortunately, I just foresee this stretching out, for some time. It just, like I said, it just depends on when they possibly get some type of break, big major break in the case. Oh, okay. 1 was a guide and 4 were special ops. Okay. Well, like I said, they gonna have to call in all the resources they can, because the level of stuff that's got to be gone through, physical evidence and witnesses and all that stuff that's got to be, gone through is major. Just looking into the 4 victims' lives and and tracking down each, what was going on in these 4 separate individuals' lives is, a major task. So that, and then you've got all the physical evidence retrieved from the scene, all the digital media that's been submitted to go through and whatnot. But by gosh, somebody knows something. Somebody knows something. And somebody did this. And it's just a scary thought that person is roaming the streets, because they are roaming the streets somewhere. And they could be anywhere. They could still be in the community. They could have, if it was a student, they could have gone home already, and they have a very good excuse for staying home since the murders occurred, because hey, there's a killer on the loose. There's you know um all you've got to do is say, oh well, I'm too scared to come back to school. I'm going to finish online. you know so if it's a student, then they've got the excuse to stay away. And then at the beginning of the year, I mean, all you got to do is withdraw, you know, if you're scared of being, found out, or, don't want, or want to, stay as far away from the place of the crime. Um, so I just wonder how much they have looked into who has returned, who hasn't, and things like that. And what is the policy on and off campus parking? And do these kids have to register the make and model of their cars and tag numbers and stuff when they get a parking pass, or what? Because I would definitely start with students and then that immediate area looking for this Elantra. But um, I hope that's found out pretty soon who the Elantra belongs to. I would think if, like I said, you know who you are, and if you were in that area that night, and if that's your car or not. If you've got nothing to hide, then come forward by all means. Choose about after. Yeah, I mean, um, yeah, there's something that they possibly know that could break the case. And like I said, it may not even be from that night. It might be from a previous incident or previous knowledge. And maybe they don't even realize that they've got that information. Oh, well, there was this guy for a while that was coming around and kind of liked Maddie, but she had Jake and told him no, and we never seen him again or whatever. Or well, there is this guy that's in the fraternity with Ethan, and they don't really like each other. You may not think that this guy is capable of murder, but you know they do have a little bit of a beef or whatever. It's like I said, they could know something that they don't realize they know. So to have 10 to 12 hours head start as far as getting. Yeah, yeah, they did. They had a good head start. If that's the case, so that means the doors had the auto locks activated more likely, which makes it more unbelievable. He just went in and killed them in their beds and yeah. I, I don't know. I did hear. I think I did. That did any of y'all hear that the doors were shut to the bedrooms when the roommates woke up? That 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 the killer possibly shut the doors to the rooms. At least Maddie and Kaylee. Have y'all heard that? You have? Okay. Yeah, there is. actually could have brought the kill. Exactly. That is a very good possibility too, as well, 2-Foot Fred. Um, hmm. Yeah, I, I'm not going to, until the police chief says something about that whole front door business. Um, I'm going to hold off on that right now because, um, as I, said, very early on tonight, it seems like that if Dylan or what's the other girl's name, if they had woke up and their door was wide open, it seems like they would have already mentioned that, or told the police chief that. Um, because they were questioned. They were the first people to be questioned, and that's something that stands out. Yeah, I woke up about 10:30 and I was freezing my ass off, and the front door, our front door was wide open, and so it seems to me that that would have been something pretty significant enough that the girls would have uh, told the police investigators that from the very beginning. Cops won't tell us anything, honestly. If anything, the feds are having them lie to the public at this point to throw off the killer. Oh Lord, yes, the feds, they're tighter lipped than a virgin's honey pie. I can tell you. I thought we were never going to get any answers in the Gabby Petito case. It was just like, God, when is the FBI going to say something? When are they going to say something? I mean, we were just left with absolutely nothing day after day after day until they got ready to make their announcement, and then they did it, and not a minute beforehand. So, yeah, the feds are, this is a horrific, brutal murder of 4 people. I mean, does Idaho have the death penalty? Because if ever there was a case that deserved the death penalty, it's definitely this one. Um, yes, I did see that, Fred. But I haven't had a chance to look into it. I saw it actually right maybe 10 minutes or so before I went live. So Idaho does have the death penalty. Well, whoever did this ought to be hung on the courthouse lawn at dawn by their toenails, in my opinion. I just, this was rage. This was brutality. This was, um, are any of y'all old enough that you watched the ABC after school specials, which are now known as Lifetime movies? Does anyone remember the Tracy Thurman story that was played by Nancy McKeon, who played Joe Polnicek on The Facts of Life? You do, Mickey? Okay. When that movie aired, the Tracy Thurman story, and her old husband stabs her in the street. Um, Even back then, the special effects, the sounds of him, trigger warning, trigger warning. The sounds of him stabbing her were awful to hear. And I have always said that that is a way, and Tracy Thurman lived. She lived. He brutally stabbed her multiple times and she lived through it. That is not a way I would want to die. I would not want to be stabbed to death. That is just, and you know, they say that drowning is actually the worst way to die. So God, you think about all those fishermen who were lost at sea and shipwrecks and things like that, that drowned. And oh, you remember The Facts of Life, but not the movie you're talking about? Well, the girl that Nancy McKeon, who played Joe Polnicek on Facts of Life, she played Tracy Thurman. It's a true story. You can Google it. I'm sure Being Buried Alive. Oh dear God, I've seen that. You know, oh, that is just a horrific thought, to be buried alive. Because I'm claustrophobic, so that would just, oh Lord, that would terrify me. But yeah, look that up. You may even be able to watch it free on YouTube. I haven't watched it in years, but that's where after what happened to Tracy Thurman, they got stalking laws passed, because you know she kept reporting this to the police, and the police said, you know, there's nothing we can do. He's parked on a public street. There's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do. He's standing on a public sidewalk. He's you know, there's nothing we can do. And you know, until he freaking attacked her and nearly, you know, killed her. So yeah, look, Google it and see. I'm gonna actually do that uh, when I'm done with this live, and see, because like I said, I hadn't watched that show in a long time, but I remember watching it, and I always said, God, I don't. That's not a way I want to die, is to be stabbed to death. So, mm, I mean, it hurts to just get a paper cut. You know, I nearly cut my thumb off one time. I had bought some picture frames at a thrift store, and I was washing the glass because they were pretty dirty, and I was actually washing the glass in the sink with soap and water first, and cleaning the frames and the glass and whatnot, and the glass broke. And when it did, it cut my thumb, and nearly it didn't stop bleeding until they sewed it up, until I got to the hospital and they got it sewed up. So and I still don't have complete feeling in that thumb. Yeah. So just imagine, I can just only imagine the horror of this. I mean, like, I know, no pun intended, but I know this happened on the 13th, but this is just like a, you know, a nightmare straight out of a Friday the 13th movie, out of a, you know, a horror movie. And this has just got to be solved, whether it's somebody that knew them or somebody they pissed off, or whether it's a serial killer. This person has got to be caught and got off the street. This is a dangerous, dangerous person that you know, you have the capability of stabbing 4 people to death. Is just, this is person is definitely a danger to society, whether or not these were targeted or not, in my opinion. That's just the way I feel about it. But guys, I'm at the 2-hour mark. I have really, really enjoyed all of you coming in. Yeah, there could have been more than one perp. We really don't know that either. Maybe they both had the same kind of knife. For $129, you can go to kbar.com and buy you one. Yeah, they'll kill again. You know, somebody was mad enough at these people to kill them in such a brutal way. Who's to stop somebody else from pissing that person off and it happening all over again? So yeah, I just I really believe this is way more than some kind of jealous, jaded lover situation. In my opinion, this is a whole nother level. Well, thank you so much, Mickey. Everyone, y'all, please hit the subscribe button, click the like button. I don't have memberships here on my channel, but I really want my channel to grow and get into the algorithm. It's all crime and no crama here, so um, unless there once in a blue moon you hear me, you know, going off about somebody. But I have, like I said, I've distanced myself from a lot of that and fixed my feed to where these people that I don't like don't even get suggested or come through my feed, unless it is someone who has a clip channel. Ugh, Gabby, you little fart, what are you doing? She comes in, her and Rosie come in through my back window on my glamper. I sit here with the window open and they can climb up my ladder or get onto my spare tire on my RV and climb in through the window, and they scare the shit out of me. Sometimes I see them, but other times they just poof, pop through the window. So but yeah, thank you all so much for coming in. 2-Foot Fred, Mickey, Charlie K, Pam, Bullhorn Betty, Miss Robin. Yeah, please everyone, like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell, so that you know when I do go live, and so you can come and join me in the chat. I am finally going to be able to get Wi-Fi out here in the sticks of Arkansas where I live. I'm getting that installed Tuesday. So I hope to possibly be able to start having people up, you know, on panel and stuff, to talk. I just don't have a strong enough connection to be able to do that, because I'm just running off regular, you know, internet connection, and it's very weak out here. So I hope to be able to start, having people come up on panel and whatnot, and discussing these cases. I enjoy doing panels. I go over to Betty's channel and the coffee club, and go on her panel, and she and I will discuss, these cases and whatnot. And I really enjoy doing that. And I enjoy just having panels of just chit chatting and shooting the shit too, on an off day, when there's really nothing else to discuss. Let's talk about something happy, for a change, or something that just don't matter really, for a change. So, like I said, I want to thank you all for coming in, and please come back again. And as always, here at the Ruby Pearl Glamper, our motto is be the change that you wish to see in this world. As Michael Jackson said, it starts with the man in the mirror. Peace out, everyone. Have a good night.
Hey y'all, this is Ella from the Ruby Pearl Glamper True Crime Podcast. If you love all things true crime, then please hit the subscribe button down below, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. And please give us a thumbs up, because you're all invited back next week to this locality to have a heaping helping of our hospitality. True crime, that is. Set a spell. Take your shoes off. Y'all come back now. You hear?